Hello, everybody. How are you doing this full moon? So it's definitely spring, and that makes me happy. Depending where you are, I'm in Montreal, and usually we don't get spring this early, so it's lovely. The birds are back. The buds are happening on the trees. There's still some ice flows on the river, but it's breaking up and mostly melted. And all of the blackbirds are back in my area because there's a marsh near the water where I'm living, and there's trees where every year they mate in these trees, and they're back, and all the geese are back. So I'm like, hopefully the birds are telling us, because usually we get snowstorms sometimes in Montreal all the way up until even the end of April. So it's putting me in a good mood for this full moon. So there's a bunch of different names in the almanac, or in indigenous traditions for different moons. And so I had three choices of what to call it this moon. This is in the Farmer's Almanac, the worm moon. Obviously birds and the worms, early bird, the robins coming back, if it melts in time. Or they call it the crow moon, an indigenous tradition. Or they call it the sugar moon. And I liked the sugar moon because it's sugar shack time and cabana sucre. And I've noticed that's a really big deal this year, more than usual, probably because we haven't been able to go to them live. There's been a lot more push for people to order their Sugar Shack maple sugar type of products or traditional meals online, or that they're delivered, and that's sort of cool. And also, I like the Sugar Moon as a title because it's a Libra moon, and Libra is all about wanting life to be a little sweeter. Sometimes Libras even have more tendency to go towards foods that are sweeter because they want life to be fair. They want life to be beautiful and fair with the moon in Libra. The moon in Libra is a very romantic sign as well. So if you have it in your own chart, then even the toughest sign still has a soft spot for old-fashioned kind of romantic gestures or atmospheres. They like the falling in love with love, the courtship. And we're also at spring with the full moon in Libra. And so I sort of like the sugar moon for that reason. So I'm going to take a look, as usual now, at the astrology chart for this full moon, and then the cards, and then readings for everybody's sign. And we'll figure out a good way to frame the question as we go. So let's take a look first at the chart. So it's actually a really nice looking astrology chart this month for this moon, meaning that there's very few conflictual angles, aspects. Full moons always mean the sun is opposing the moon, so that's already, the inherent tension of the full moon is that the sun is pulling us one way and the moon is pulling us another. So we're being told or pulled towards Aries, like go out there and be bold and be blunt and initiate something and just spit something out quick and easy, or just do it. Stop thinking about it so much. And then we have the moon in Libra that's like, that's not very nice to say it that way. That's not very tactful. Well, but that's not the whole side of things. It's not so one-sided. I think I'm just going to weigh things for a while. So we have, to me, a full moon in Libra at this time of year, and the full moon in Aries when we get into October. You're talking about 2 times a year where you're torn between yourself and pleasing other people. Do I please myself or do I please others? So if you're in any situations where you're finding it hard to resolve whether you should, do things to accommodate other people or cave in or capitulate to other people's wants, even if, that would be a bad sign that it's not a good time to be pleasing others. If you, are on the other side of things where you've been thinking about, looking out for number one all the time, and your mindset is too much about yourself, then the Libra Moon might help balance you out to be more delicate and think about other people or weigh things a little longer. But this is the core of a full moon, is two opposing energies, opposing needs. So then we take a look and see what the planets are doing and what supports what, and then we look at what energy is the best, most productive, or happiest to focus on. So there's not a lot of conflict in this chart, which is very nice. That's why I think the sugar moon, it is a sweeter full moon because of the planets. So the first thing we have is, of course, our moon is at 8 degrees Libra, and it is making a trine, which is great, with Saturn in Aquarius. And then it is making a trine with Mars and the North Node in Gemini, which is another amazing sign. Why? Because you have a Grand Trine, which means a perfect 120-degree triangle. And when you get that Grand Trine energy, it means that those planets involved, they don't have to think about it. They're just flowing. They're bouncing off each other. They're correlating. They're getting along wonderfully with each other. To the point where they don't have to try. So if you had this as somebody's natal chart and they were born today, let's say, I would know that this person, and therefore this day, this moon, has an amazing gift at communication. They would probably speak intelligently and quickly. They would learn fast. They would be very fluid with socialization with people. They would have definitely the gift of the gab. You have Mars in Gemini, Moon in Libra. This person likes to talk. This person would be very charming, would know enough about enough things to talk to anybody, anywhere. So this is a great sign, a great full moon for opening the door to meeting people and talking to people, or rekindling with an old friend, or opening up a topic that maybe it's been harder to talk about, because the air is just flowing so nicely for this full moon. It can also, if it's not related to other people, it could also be an amazing time to learn something new, because the air quality is the quality of communication and of the mind. And when it's flowing so nicely like this, it could be really easy, really great time to read new books, to pick up new information, or to study something. So it's good for our students out there who are studying for their exams if you're at university. It's also a good sign for inspiration. Air can also be ideas, aha, insight. Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Oh, why didn't I think of doing it that way? Oh, these two things could be combined into one. Look at that. And it comes quickly. It comes quickly with an air trine like this. The other thing that's interesting too, and why I think it's even nicer, is because Mars is in Gemini, but connected to our North Node. Remember, we've been talking the last few moons for months now about these North and South nodes that are in the immutable signs of Gemini and Sag. So remember I said how, both are adaptable, both will sort of like reposition themselves. They'll see like, oh, you're doing that, so I will do this, and oh, it's changing, and it's constantly in flux and adapting. And so it's been sort of a fuzzy year, right, for people to really know what direction to go in. I mean, it's clear because of the pandemic and everything it's brought, but it's also in the planets. We would have gone through it anyway. There would have been a lot of confusion of direction and constantly stepping to one side or another, coming back, changing your mind, coming back, changing your mind, coming back. And now, though, there's nothing emphasizing really the South Node that much. The sun is at 8 degrees Aries, and it's making a trine, or a nice aspect, to the South Node. So it's still helpful. If you are on that path of, Aries. You feel like, no, I'm tired of pleasing people. I'm tired of overthinking. I'm clear what I want. I'm ready to do it. Let's just go do it. Well, the sun is supporting that right now. Mars in Gemini is also slightly supporting that. So is Saturn. And so is the South Node. So there's still support for you if that's the direction you're choosing to go in. However, the stronger direction is socializing and community and groups and expansion versus me, But both are going to be fine, which is why this full moon is going to be nice, because there's support pretty much no matter what you do. So the North Node in Gemini plus Mars and that trine also means that if you jump into this, let's just call this air trine like a nice little river, and it's just moving at a nice comfortable pace. It's not stagnant, it's not rushing too fast. It's just, if you jump in this river and you're like, okay, I'm open to new ideas, I'm open to new people, I'm open to what I find, I'm open to what I'm learning, I'm open to what my intuition tells me, then you're going to go towards that Gemini North Node direction, and that will also carry you towards maybe new opportunities or new growth or something that you might not have expected if you let yourself go with this flow. It'll be nice. Now, the only thing that is opposing in here, and it feels quite mild, is Mercury and Neptune are together in Pisces, and that means a lot of things. That Mercury, Neptune, and Pisces is not super strong or clear on what on what they think or what they're saying or what they want. What they are good at is being very psychic. They'd be very intuitive and psychic. You might have more dreams. You might not be sleeping so well too. I've heard a lot of that in the last few days. A lot of people not sleeping well, but also having crazy dreams. Neptune and Mercury could bring that on, especially when it's in our 8th house. Neptune and Mercury in Pisces could also bring like very, visions, deeper trance-like states. If you're doing that, if you're doing any channeling, if you're doing any meditation or yoga, whatever it is that you're doing, that you're in the zone, you might be doing that, painting a wall or washing your car, but because mindfulness works that way, you can do the dishes, you can walk, you can do many things that have repetitive action to it, and it will bring you into a mindful state where you are more in a meditative state, and therefore you're more receptive to other emotions, other intuitions or flashes of things. So it's extremely receptive right now on that level too. So we've got it on the, the ideas and the mental and the talking and the learning and the brainstorming side and the social side. And we've also got it on the very internal, sort of mystical, intuitive, receptive side. Great planets here. The only thing that's opposing is that Mars in Gemini is opposing that Mercury Neptune. That's the only monkey wrench really that I feel in this chart. Saturn and Uranus are squaring. I'm not so worried about that for some reason, because to me that's those are outer planets, and it suggests what we're going through right now. The world is in some upheaval. The world is restructuring a lot of things. You might not, obviously it impacts us all personally somewhere, but it doesn't feel quite as personal, to give you advice as the other planets that are that I'm seeing. So when Mercury Neptune is square Mars, you could have some mental fog. You could have some flights of fancy. You could have some paranoia. You could have some conflictual dialogues with people. If you're coming from one place and they're coming from another. But again, Pisces is mutable. So is Gemini. So everybody's going to be quite fluid, or There's nothing in the chart that has a fixed, stubborn sign against another or squaring off with another, except Uranus square Saturn, which, as I said, to me represent more what we're going through right now, the upheaval of our financial system, of our security blanket, of our traditional life, Taurus. Uranus is just hitting it like a lightning bolt and saying, no, this is changing. This is not the same. This is going to be different. This is a new idea we have. This is a new way we're going to work. This is new things we have going on with money. This is a new way you're going to structure your lifestyle. You know, Uranus is just blowing up all of those things that we consider secure. And it's a long trend. It's like a 7-year trend, and we're a couple of years in. We have a few more years to go. Saturn in Aquarius, it's also fixed. So it's restructuring, but it's in Aquarius, which is rules Uranus. So even though it's still about life lessons and building a foundation and putting new systems in place from the ground up and going slowly at it, it's still in Aquarius, so it's still innovative. So that's why I'm saying those are outer things. Those are things all of us are faced with right now. We're restructuring the way society works, the way our healthcare system is, the way, you know, and just wearing masks could be representative of this as well. Working online and socializing online can be representative of Uranus square Saturn. So that's more outer. If you look at, you know, the personal thing you can work on for this full moon, I would say you want to maintain being very open and flexible to whatever comes up and whoever comes on your path. And you want to very lightly and quickly sort of navigate what feels right, what doesn't, what inspires you, what doesn't, who you want to be around, who you don't. Just let it be very light and easy, because there's no big standoffs, there's no big fights, there's nothing really conflictual in the air. And that's another reason why I went with more the sugar moon image, because there's something nicer and sweeter about this full moon. And you know, if any of you have been watching me long enough on these videos, you know that I don't say these things that often. There's very often, there's been heavy, dense energies for years in the planets, and a lot of things shifted in this age of Aquarius shift. And so I hope you can use this this full moon to connect with people and to enjoy things, and to let the conversations flow and be lighter. So let's take a look now at the cards, see if it brings us anything else. Okay, and I don't have my lighter for my sage nearby. Oh well. So let's see. There we go. So full moon, March 28th, 2021. Happy birthday to anybody who's out there. We're nicely into Aries and nicely into spring. Hope you feel renewed. All right, let's see. First card. Our first card is the universe. So the universe is a time of reflection and evaluation and ending of a long chapter of your life. Let's hope, you know, that could be the pandemic as an end of chapter kind of message. Obviously, we're not completely done, but maybe we're on our way. Maybe you're thinking about anything that you want to just finally just call it a day, call it done, over. Maybe you're feeling a little more inspired about where your life's going. And there's all kinds of layers of things that are on your mind, and you're putting them to rest, and you're just closing the book on them and saying, okay, chapter's done, chapter's over. The universe card is nice. Usually there's something more peaceful about it. It's more internal processing. And sometimes there's some people that will still feel very confused when this card comes, because they can feel that there's things ending or that they need to. but they might not quite yet have the vision of what's coming, where they're going next, and so they feel nervous to let go of things. Wow, okay, our next card is pretty clear after that. The Ace of Wands after the endings. Well, this is definitely a Sun in Aries card. This is a flame. It's like a raw fire flame. It's definitely that Sun Aries aspect. And we also have Venus traveling through Aries right now and Chiron. So there's a strong pull to just be bold, to just go for it, to not overthink. And there's the will, the passion and the will to do something new. So if you're feeling it, don't question it, just do it. All right. The next card is the Princess of Discs, or Pentacles. So this is a very spring-like image, right? This is usually, she looks very Taurus, or she could be Virgo, but I'd say she looks more Taurus. And, she's looking down at the earth. The woods all sort of look like they do in the spring. Things look like they're melting. Her fur is sort of halfway on her and halfway off. And we can feel that her belly looks sort of pregnant. And so this is a time of year, we talk about fertility and things are blossoming and blooming. So again, like, it's just a nice metaphor for being very connected to the seasons, connected to the earth, the cycles of the moon, connecting to your fertility, or it can be your creativity. Not everybody's going to give birth or have a baby. Some people might be. But if not, then it's certainly a time where you're going to get in touch with your divine feminine or sexual nature, and you might be able to create or birth anything, a project, something new inside yourself, and not something temporary, something that would grow and gestate like a baby, something bigger than that. So I just get this feeling with this card right now, like to go outside and try to connect with the season that we're in. Some of you are already getting better weather than Montrealers, but at least I'll speak for us where it's cold. I mean, it's melting now. Get out there and actually touch the trees, get out there and smell the smells that are coming back. Get out there and hear the birds and get that deep sense of coming back to the earth and into the spring. Very, very physically. This is an earth card. The next card is the Four of Discs, or Pentacles. So that's a good sign of, again, like planning, time management, structuring, budgeting, tax time's coming up. Maybe you want to really take a look at sitting down with this new inspiration or plan and writing things out, make charts, make diagrams, ask people, price point, research stuff. This is Capricorn card. It's very practical, pragmatic. It's earth again as well. So it's interesting. We move from letting go of and processing things in our lives to this burst of flame. And then the cards get very earthy. So it's like, again, putting that inspiration into practical quickly, not belaboring it. If I feel inspired to do something new in my patio or my garden, or I want to build something, don't spend 5 weeks looking it up. Just, look a little bit and then start making a plan. That's the kind of vibe it is. All right, next we have the Queen of Swords. So that would be an older woman usually around. That could be a mother, a grandmother, aunt, great grandmother. It's a woman who's usually quite fiercely intelligent, but she also has trouble dealing with her emotions. And she can be sometimes a little bit cruel with her words, a little bit cold, but she'll definitely be very smart. So if you have anyone like this in your midst, we're going to see what comes up in and around her. But you might, this would be a message to me to think of the elderly people in and around your life, even if it's not relatives. There could be a neighbor. There could be, the mother of your partner, of a close friend. But just be aware of the elderly people around. And we've got the High Priestess after that, so that's interesting. Um, because that brings sort of a spiritual nature. That brings, again, it's a card of trusting what you already deeply know inside yourself. It's an intuitive card. So I would say if there is someone elderly around you, could be male too, doesn't have to be female because it's a queen. Um, if there's someone like that around you, you might again want to really trust your gut. If you're getting this feeling that you should offer to help somebody and you feel compelled to, again, just do it. Just don't think about it too long. If you're getting a feeling that something might happen, you could be right. Act on it. If it's preventative, if it's conciliatory, whatever it ends up being. It could also be that you have um, a different kind of conversation with that person than you've ever had. There could be a more spiritual or emotional, not really emotional. I don't mean like crying your eyes out kind of. I mean, the Queen of Swords has trouble connecting to her emotions, but maybe because of the Priestess card, there's something has opened up in her, and she's able to have a conversation on a different level than before. And so you can be open and aware of that as well. The next card is the Seven of Swords. So a lot of people might be thinking about moving, walking away from a job, or moving on, or literally moving away, like looking for new apartments, new houses, new condos. Obviously, many people are itchy to travel. A lot of people are just dying and itching to move away or get away or do something new. So this is definitely in the air. That might be part of your new plans. Um, yeah, so that's interesting too. It could also apply to this elderly person moving as well. Then we have the Queen of Cups. So this card is more like a Cancer, Pisces kind of energy. She's gentle, she's nurturing, she's more quiet, reflective. And when it comes after the Priestess and the moving card, it feels to me like if any of you were thinking of moving towards a new situation, whether it's literally where you live, a place you want to stay for an extended time, or if it's the way where you work, the way you want to work, or where, it's telling you to go towards something more gentle or peaceful, whatever that means for you. And it also feels like a message of self-care and of nurturing, because this is a very gentle, nurturing kind of person. So that can be applied to this elderly person. It could also be it's applied to you to nurture yourself and be gentle and kind to yourself. And our last card, oh boy, is the Devil. How interesting. How interesting. The Devil is temptations. The Devil is your lower nature, other people's or your shadow side. So it's interesting, after all this high energy, the Devil comes out. I might pull one more card after that. The Devil would be like a test, because these cards look like, okay, I've thought about things, I've let go, I have some new ideas, I'm putting them into practice, I'm more open than usual, I'm aware of other people around me, I'm facilitating conversations with people, getting closer, getting insights about how to navigate. I'm being gentle with myself, I'm moving on with my life, I'm letting my plans happen. Devil. Huh? Right? What? So there could be somebody comes along your path that represents the Devil, and that would be somebody who would trigger you to go backwards from the progress that you're making. Don't do it. Right? It could also be, if we look at it in like a healing perspective, in your process of healing, we can get better. We take care of ourselves, and we can hit a place where we're tested or tempted by something, like I don't know, let's say you were having just amazing self-care ritual and you started to eat really well, and all of a sudden you just get like killer cravings for something you know you shouldn't have. That's like a devil energy too. You know, it doesn't mean an actual devil or psychopath coming into your life. It's just means something's triggering you. Something's triggering the old thoughts, the dark thoughts, the self-sabotage, the addiction, the addictive behaviors, the thing that you say, oh, well, maybe I could just get away with that for a little bit. It's the devil. So we definitely might encounter that. Doesn't mean we're going to give in to it. Let's pull one more card. We have the King of Pentacles. You don't get more rock solid than that. This guy is the Rock of Gibraltar. This guy shows up on time. You don't have to worry about him. This guy says he's going to do it. He's going to do it. This guy says he has the money. He has the money. This guy says, I'm going to build that by Tuesday. He does. So what would that say after the devil? To me, it's very clear. It says, to me, that this is the side of you need to get in touch with. To overcome the temptation or the devil, you stick to the down-to-earth, practical, reliable self-discipline. Self-discipline. You know? So if you're tempted, everybody will be. Maybe lots of people are going to be dieting and cleansing and changing, you know, trying to work on whatever they did into excess over the COVID period, try to bring it back in line. You'll be tempted, of course you will. If spending is your thing and you're shopping online too much, of course you're going to be tempted. But this card would come back and say, it's not like a strict, you know, what did you do that for? It's not like Punisher. It's more like, you know, you're tempted and then this voice of reason comes in and says, do you really need that? No, I don't think so. Right. Okay, right. Back on track. You know? And one last interpretation, just in case the devil is, in this case, actually shows up as a person who's difficult, like a test, then this other person could be around as well. Choose somebody who's got this quality of reliability and strong-mindedness, good values, and maybe it's seeking that person's help or that person's advice on that situation or that person's intervention on that situation. All in all, like, I feel this is a very nice full moon. I don't feel any huge problems. Even the devil card, it's very minor compared to the rest of the cards. So I think we can just enjoy ourselves and yeah, just a little bit of self-discipline in there and you'll be fine, whatever's going on. All right, so I'm going to pull cards for each sign now. And I'm just going to try and make sure I write down the times. Sorry about that, everybody. I just, I didn't set that up 100% yet. And I know people like to have the times so that you don't have to think about it the whole time that we're on the video. Although it makes me happy if you want to read every sign. If you want to listen to everybody's messages. All right. So here we go. Let's see, how can we phrase the question this full moon? Okay, I'm hearing like the question will be, where would I get the greatest satisfaction and joy or sweetness in my life right now? Where is the greatest sweetness in your life right now on this sugar moon? That's a nice way to say it, eh? And let's just see for Aries now. All right. Aries, the sweet spot for you is Princess of Swords. That's a weird answer. All right. Well, it's sort of funny to say this, but maybe you can relate to it. It's a message about chaos. Where is the sweet spot for you, Aries? Do you enjoy a little bit of chaos? Do you enjoy a little bit of debating and arguing? Do you enjoy a little bit of shocking people? Do you enjoy breaking the rules? Do you enjoy sometimes being a little shit disturber? Yeah, that's why I say it's sort of a funny message. But if you're honest with yourself, sometimes you need her to catapult you forward, or to move on from a situation, let go of something. Sometimes you need to be a little bit like feisty in your face. Oh, yeah. It's a great way to just push away the old debris, or to it's a difficult thing to describe, if you haven't lived it. It's not a very Libra Moon like thing to say. Libra Moon would not like this. They don't want to rock the boat. This girl likes to rock the boat. That's much more Aries. So there could be something that might help you feel excited, alive, if you rock the boat a little. And I'm not talking anything huge, but just a little bit of poke. You might enjoy yourself. The other people might not, but you might activate something that's good for the greater good. That would be the best way to look at it. All right, let's look at Taurus. Taurus, what is the sweet spot for you right now? Interesting, the moon. Another odd answer. Okay, the sweet spot for you, ironically, would be anything moon-like, illusions, altered states of mind. The moon is, in its best aspect, inspired. It's almost, drunk with love, or high on inspiration, high on, how do you describe that? When you, let's say, for example, you watch a movie and it puts you in a really deep mood, funky mood, mindset about the world, like you tap into something else than just the regular mundane day-to-day world that we live in, and it gives you a sense of like an altered reality, or you experience certain feelings or emotions that you don't normally, or your mind is just going off in a direction you don't normally. It's sort of bringing yourself into that state. I'm not advocating go out there and get high and drunk. I'm not saying that at all. But other things, like I said, films, music, definitely if you let yourself go, you can activate sort of like a flight of fancy in yourself. And it could end up proving productive or enjoyable, or help you create. The other thing would be where that sweet spot is. Well, the moon is also like very deeply emotional, psychological. It's all about things that are hidden, even from ourselves. So if any of you are inclined towards psychology, that could also be sort of a sweet spot, this moon, which would sort of say getting into deeper topics than, or stranger topics with people than usual, getting to know people on a more intimate level than usual. So that's a very interesting message. All right, Gemini. Where's the sweet spot for Gemini this month, this moon? All these funny cards. What a question, and what a weird set of answers. Okay, so Gemini, your sweet spot would be The Seven of Wands, which says valor. This is about standing up for yourself or others. This is about saying no, setting boundaries, saying, you're not treating me well, you're not treating me properly, you're not treating others properly. Sometimes, Gemini, you do like to take on that side. You can be very, very clear in your ethics. When you are, you're fierce. You know, you won't back down. You'll say it. With all the communicative planets and air in the air planets trining, like I said, I would say this might be a card where maybe you write a letter to the editor of a newspaper and state your opinion. Maybe you air your opinions on something else publicly. Maybe you take a stand on your or your spouse or your kids or your friends' behalf. You might enjoy that energy of asserting yourself, and it's a very interesting way to use these planets right now. But you know, Mars is in your sign, and that's also can make you feel restless or a bit agitated, angry, and it might be time. This might be a big clear the air moment for you, and that's where you get your sweet spot. So let's take a look for Cancer now. Cancer, where is your sweet spot for this full moon? Mercury in Sag, 8 of Wands. Swiftness. Well, your sweet spot is like getting active, planning trips, thinking about, you know, look at the big rainbow there. It's about being optimistic. It's about being active. It's about doing things quickly, spontaneously. It's about, like I said, planning for your summer, planning for your camping if you're going camping, planning a trip for your summer, planning on your exercise program that you're going to implement for spring. It's about, it's also, if you look, like, it's hard to see, but this is a pyramid. It's coming up towards us with these lightning bolts, you know, these lightning arrows sort of coming out of it. And then there's a rainbow, and it's like, it sort of gives this feeling of like your learning or your thought process is rising higher and higher and higher. So your mood is lifting higher and higher. Your will, your desire to act, your willingness to speak your mind is getting higher and higher. So your sweet spot is to just really let that happen and express yourself and get out there and, you know, plan ahead for your summer vacation if you want. Go do it. Think about that. And also getting outside, getting active. You need physical activity. That would be your sweet spot. All right, Leo. Where is your sweet spot, Leo? Love. That is a love card. So, Leos, are you in love? Excuse me. Oh, wow. I'm going to take that as some sort of confirmation. Yeah, Leo, you need to be expressing your love. Obviously, I can't predict that every Leo watching this is going to fall in love, but maybe love is in the air for many Leos. Love and romance. And just trying to tap in what else would help Leo. You see how there's sort of webs behind there? And they're beautiful. But at the bottom, it's more like fluid and sort of flowery. And at the back, it's sort of these webs, you know, spider webs. And the cup looks like it's almost standing there like this, you know, with its arms out. And it's standing strong and it's blasting light or water. upwards, and it's illuminating everything. And we're clearing away any cobwebs in the background, and we're making waves here. So if you want to focus on opening your heart more in your life to meet new people or to get closer to the ones you are, then there's going to be like, it's going to make some waves in terms of like, you might not just be able or want to play along with old sort of stale dynamics you have with certain people. You're going to walk through life open-hearted, and you might find some people, it's going to connect you more to more people, and it's also going to show you who can't connect very well. And so clearing the cobwebs out of your heart, out of your head, so that you feel ready for love or increased intimacy. Wow, that's a beautiful message for you, Leo. All right, let's take a look for you, Virgo. All right, Virgo, where is your sweet spot for this full moon? Oh, that's nice. 3 of Cups, abundance. Look at that. This always to me looks like almost a wedding cake or a wedding sculpture with all the flowers pouring water over these vases that look like they're made of bursting grapes. You don't get a more potent feeling of abundance than this. So for you, Virgo, this is what you need to focus on for your sweet spot. It's not a time to think about scarcity. It's not a time to be worrying as much about how and when and why and making such a plan. It's more about like focus your mind on what would mean abundance for you. So, for example, instead of sitting down and doing your budget twice, it's more about do your budget once and then try to visualize and bring to mind, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I am willing to do to create the abundant life that I want. And abundance is not just finances. It's not just money. So I want you to imagine yourself living your most abundant life. What does it look like if you walk into your home and you feel like, wow, I have everything I need. I love it here. I have everything I need. Visualize and imagine a relationship. You walk in, you see your partner. Wow, this is everything that I need. This is what I'm happy with. Visualize, bring that feeling to you. This is Mercury in Cancer. It's all about feeling it, even though it's Mercury. Mercury in Cancer is still very much about your feelings. And if you can feel something is real, that's when you actually manifest it, more than when you're trying too hard to think about it or plan it or like pull it towards you mentally. You have to drop into the heart and feel, or physically feel. If you want a relationship, you feel what it's like to have someone sitting beside you that you just feel it's so good and feels so easy and feels so close. And bring that to mind. Bring the abundance in. All right. Libras now. Libras, you'll be affected quite a bit, just like Aries, since it's your full moon. So you could have more intense emotions than usual. But let's just take a look for you what comes up. So Libra, where is your sweet spot this full moon? And we get the Aries side. We get the burst of flame that we mentioned before in the video. So your sweet spot is actually to focus on the fire side of you, focus on being spontaneous, focus on doing things quickly, trying to get out of your head when you can, and stop weighing things and just go with your gut and say what you need to say, do what you need to do quickly, act more spontaneously, act more in the moment. You might need to unleash a bit of anger with this card. And if you do, you do. It's probably long overdue if you get mad. So if you're feeling that way, also this would say, like, for you, I get this feeling it's also about getting active, but don't overdo it. Like, don't try not to swing too quickly from one mode to the other, because the ace definitely wants to do it fast and now. But if it comes to physical activity and you haven't been doing much, you could pull a muscle. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's telling you to focus on the opposite thing that the astrology chart is. But if we're going to say Libra is here to balance yourself out and learn about balance, right now to balance yourself out, it would be more like thinking of you. Think of number one for a change. All right, Scorpio. Sorry. All right, Scorpios, where is your sweet spot? And we get the Priestess. So, Scorpio, I would say for you, this full moon is definitely about connecting back to your spiritual practices. If you haven't done your yoga in a while, pull out the mat. If you haven't meditated in a while, meditate. If you like to set up some sort of shrine or an altar, or you like to do things that make it feel like you've cleaned your home and you've set the stage for spring. If you need more time alone, if you need more walks, if you need to journal again, anything that brings you back to yourself and to your inner wisdom and your feminine side, it's about that. And it's about giving yourself that framework, that headspace, or that time, because you're about to be shown a lot of things, whether that's in your dreams or your waking life insights. You're very receptive right now. This is you could get a lot of insight, messages, intuitions, dreams. And of course, the more deeply connected you are to that in yourself, the more that actually guides us and helps us make decisions in life when we trust it. So this is all about trusting it. So whatever activities you do that help bring you back to go within on that level, so that you can do things to help yourself listen more. Yeah, this is a really powerful message there for you, Scorpio. Okay, let's take a look now. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, where is your sweet spot this month? Another weird answer. 5 of discs, worry. Mercury in Taurus. Well, worrying is not a sweet spot. This is usually, again, a card of like scarcity and worrying about scarcity. So I have to meditate on this for a second, what that is telling us. Okay, feeling I'm getting with this is about helping other people. This card, if you look at the Rider-Waite deck, is a couple of people who look like they're maybe homeless, passing in front of a church window. So you can either focus on the scarcity of the homelessness, or you can focus on the church that is there to help them. Sagittarius, you would usually be represented by the church that's there to help people. Usually you're the one who has the philosophy or the knowledge or the connection to your higher self that guides other people through their times of trouble or scarcity. So, I mean, you can't predict for everybody who watches this, but you could be on one side of the spectrum or another. Let's just focus on if you're the helper. You might benefit right now from doing some sort of volunteer work or helping people out. That could be that sweet spot for you. Using whatever tools or skills or life wisdom you have to help other people out of a tough spot. Doesn't mean you're giving money necessarily, but you're sharing your stability or your wisdom with other people who need it. That's a very interesting message. All right, let's go to Capricorn now. So Capricorn, where is your sweet spot? All right. And another weird card, another weird message. Okay, let's see. Okay, your sweet spot, 5 of Cups, disappointment, Mars and Scorpio. Obviously, disappointment isn't a sweet spot. So what does that mean? Mars in Scorpio is usually jealous or possessive. Usually it's sort of controlling. It's also very passionate and very, very deep emotionally when it connects. And I'm getting a feeling here that, these empty cups are sort of bothering you. I get a feeling you feel there's something missing. And maybe life just doesn't have enough passion or zing or zest for you right now. And you're craving it. But if you look at the bottom cup, you see the formations of the wire or whatever that is around the cup. It forms a butterfly. And it's under the water. So a butterfly under the water definitely suggests you're transforming your emotions. So the sweet spot here, ironically, would be to allow your emotional life to transform on some level. If you find like you are disappointed, let's say, or you're chronically disappointed, or you feel like something's missing, you can allow that feeling to come out more fully, because that's a lot of the time how you transform it. If you suppress it or you try to push it back or deny it, it's just going to come back stronger next time. So if you're willing and able, or you need help to do it, if you allow sort of that depth of feeling that's been held in there to come up and out, and you look at it, then you will transform it. So this is a card of digging deep emotionally. And a lot of it with disappointment, right, would be talking about our expectations of what's possible for us. And, compared to our desires, compared to what's possible, time frames, things we expect of ourselves or others. But I get a feeling there's a longing, and there's like something that needs to come up and out, like a purge. And it will transform the way you feel, and it'll purge your energy and make things a lot lighter afterwards. So ironically, your sweet spot would be to allow that to happen. Give yourself somehow the time and the space to do a bit of that kind of level of work, and you will feel so much better. Boy, these messages surprise me. I thought they would be a lot lighter, but they're not. Well, that's good old Crawley for you. It's never a superficial deck. All right, let's take a look for Aquarius. Where is your sweet spot? The Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, that's interesting. So the Wheel of Fortune, you never know where you are on the wheel. Are you on the top, the side, you falling off, you crawling back on, you at the top? Or are you above the wheel? Are you on a whole other plane above the wheel, and you're not on the wheel anymore. You're on this other grid, other dimension above it. The The Wheel of Fortune is, just accepting that everything changes. It's accepting that we have good times and bad times. We have luck and we have bad luck. And that it's going to keep turning and changing for everybody all the time in their lives. And it's not, it's part of life. It's not personal. So perhaps the sweet spot for you could represent, if you were taking anything personally, then take a look at that and try to see it from the bigger picture of life. Stay with that side of with that way of seeing life. So, things are going crappy at your work. Step back and instead of personalizing it all, just say, well, I'm not the only one who's going through this, and I won't go through this forever. So it just allows the wheel to turn. Also, this whole thing about the higher plane, the grid, that it's above the wheel, just again keeps calling to me. So it's really striking me, this whole like, raise your perspective, broaden your perspective of how you're looking at things. Really stay with the big picture view of everything right now. And you will start to feel more momentum. And I don't get a feeling that you're stuck per se on this wheel somewhere, but I do get a feeling of spending a bit too much time thinking about the minutia of things, situations, people, and to really just let go of this minutia. Just let that all turn, and it is what it is. Other people's lives are their karma. Yours is yours, and try to just elevate and get a higher, more detached perspective. That would be your sweet spot. Boy, these readings, man. All right. Now, let's look at Pisces. All right, so Pisces, your sweet spot for this full moon is the Six of Discs or Pentacles. So that is, for me, this is always my my healing card. It says success, but look at all the circular energy and the light and the protection of this card. There's like many, many circles around you, and then there's an inner circle, and there's a ring of light, and then there's a rose. There's a rose, if you can see it, and a cross. And there's a really deep sense of healing with this card. It's the Moon in Taurus, which Moon in Taurus will always think of meeting their practical needs. They will not deny themselves a bathtub, the comfort of a meal, having enough money in the bank. They will not deny themselves their needs. And the Six of Discs just really is lovely because it just shows success on that material plane. Things are in place. You have met your needs. You're taking care of yourself well. So if you are struggling at all this full moon, then this would be your sweet spot. Step back and ask yourself, what do I need? And write down on many, many levels what you need. Even if it's something really simple and, something you need to buy for yourself that you're putting off doing. Moon in Taurus doesn't deny itself. If it needs new body cream, it goes to get it. If it is, making sure the bills are paid so you feel you can sleep at night, then pay your bills or call and make an arrangement. That's if they want or if their self-esteem tells them that they need better shoes, they'll go get them. So it's on that kind of level that you will find your sweet spot as well, by giving yourself what you need and taking care of your needs as best as you can. And then you're going to feel a sense of wholeness and protection and strength from that. Very interesting. Well, if any of you would like a personalized reading, if you'd like to take this any deeper, or you feel you're at a crossroads and you want some help with your decisions or with relationships, that's what I'm very good at. It's what I love. And if you're interested in any kind of courses, I've got an online tarot course, a very thorough, complete tarot course now that took me about a year to make. And I also have an intuition class. I have an intuition class that's connected to my book. It's all on my website. So if you're in the mood to be inspired and to learn, as we mentioned with this Grand Air Trine, nice sugar moon, nice sweet spot of openness and flow, then I would recommend that you take a look at my website under the online courses. And I wish everybody a wonderful full moon period. Take care.